Hey guys, it's Matthew Cox, your host with the Purpose Driven Person Show, and I'm excited to be here again for a new show. If you're jumping on for the first time, go to Facebook, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube. We just set a cool YouTube channel up. We'll be posting there, and as it grows, we'll get some more content on there. YouTube, go YouTube. And also iTunes. Follow us on iTunes, whatever your platform of choice is for podcasting. And let's get to work. So, if you're joining for the first time, the Purpose Driven Person Show was created. I've had several radio shows in the past, and I created this one because I wanted to help individuals to grow intellectually, personally, and everything else. And what I found in leadership was there was four areas where they were struggling is in purpose. That's why it's called the Purpose Driven Person Show. And it's a long term, but purpose driven. What that means, just like the hat, it's purpose driven is why are we driven? What do we do? What gets you out of bed every day and do what you do? If you're a doctor, if you're a CEO, and fight the good fight, because every day is a fight. I'm telling you, if you're doing something and it has a great impact, there's always going to be struggle. And so what gives you purpose to get up every day and hit the ground running and do what you do? And so if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my Lego set in the back. If not, working from home is a blessing. But I want to also just jump in and say the reason where we started this show, as you heard in the intro, is the 4 C's: connection, communication, collaboration, and creation. Those 4 C's I found in leaders, high performers, that when you're doing things and you might hit it, you might be successful in whatever career you're doing or business you're doing, but you get burned out in those 4 C's. Communication goes down, you get tired, creation goes down, collaboration starts dropping. I seen it all. And so how do we maximize to get the fullness out of our business, our life, or our homes? And as you hear my other shows, you don't need to be a business owner for this season to hear it, because I really believe, as I've worked with homes and worked with families and couples over the years, a home is a business. You got to run it as such, but there's 2 sides to the home. There's a business side and there's a emotional. You got to take care of both. I used to have CEOs come into my office when I was doing a lot of coaching, and I was a consultant for them, and then I was a personal coach. Some people use life coach, but I was just a coach because I grew up coaching sports at a very high level. I started in high school and worked my way up to college. And I know as a coach, it doesn't matter what arena you're in. Coaching has basic principles. An individual comes, they have talent, and you're trying to get them to that next level, if that makes sense. Next level means starting here, and I'm going to get you up a few notches, and I'm going to get you to perform at your peak. And that's what they would hire me for. A lot of these CEOs knew they were getting burned out. They knew they were starting to fumble. And so we would take them back to where they needed to be, but also add quality versus quantity. And so a lot of the CEOs that were coming in that were making 6 figures or more, they were frustrated, they were overwhelmed, they hated their job, but they couldn't leave it because the money was good. So it was like this 2 masters. You can't serve 2. You either love the one or hate the other. And so it was hard for them because we had to really explore. And I even had some in my watch as we coached through, they ended up saying, hey, I need to move on. I need to go find something different. I've accomplished what I needed to here. And so it's time for me to move on. And it took a coach to kind of get them to that point, to see the reality of it. Because here's the reality I want to give you guys as you're listening, is you have one life. Right now, there's a lot going on in the economy, and CEOs, leadership, or whoever you're at in life, you have so much opportunity right now to climb quickly. Here's the thing, if I had to just start over again and I was in this point of time, man, I would hit it, because all it takes is just this much effort, because nobody wants to put the effort in. And there's so many opportunities right now that you can climb the ladder so quickly in all different organizations if you just take the time and go do it. So I really encourage you, as we talk about these concepts, really dive in. I'm going to share something today. We're going to be talking about the main principle of how to get what you want out of what you're doing. It sounds pretty interesting, but it's also just looking at what type of last podcast we did, what type of leader you are, but what are you trying to do? And this is where purpose is. And I'm going to talk about what this means. And I've talked about this in the past, is how did I find my purpose? Why do I do this crazy purpose thing? And my good friend and mentor, Rusty Burnside, we talked about this. I think I shared this in a podcast previously. And if you're listening to that, I just want to drive this concept home again. And it's basically this simple. The concept is this, first I had to figure out why I was struggling, and I kept hitting walls. And I'm looking at you on the YouTube. I'm looking at my phone because I want to bring it up, because we talked about this. It was a really good insight that helped us drive the point to where we understood. So I want to talk about these three areas again. Is I had to come to realize, I had to recognize that I had certain weakness. And so what that looked like is when I realized or recognized that, I was this kid that grew up with a learning disability. I was reading and writing at a fourth grade level, really struggled in school. School was not my thing. Attention deficit, just all the fun bags of tricks that you would think it was not fair to have. And, I went through that. I had to deal with anxiety growing up, had to deal with frustration of failure. Failure's been a big piece. Anxiety doesn't go away. I mean, it's something, even as an adult, I still deal with. In running several businesses, that anxiety can get pretty tough sometimes. So you have to have good people around that understand you and that don't take it as your what it is just kind of says, hey, let me give you the info so your stress doesn't go up. And that's the focus. That's step two. Once I realized, hey, I'm a broken person in certain areas, I'm not gonna succeed if I try to push myself. That's just unfortunately the cards I was dealt with. Maybe you're I don't know, maybe you're very talented, but you're egotistic. And so your ego gets in the way. I have back here behind me, it's called the drama wheel. The drama wheel is basically, maybe your ego's in the way half the time. You're not bought into what's going on. You're withdrawing, whatever that may be. What is it that's holding you back? In connections, that's one of the 4 C's, the connection. And I had to recognize that, my instability in one area of reading and writing kept me back for a long time in becoming creative, because I was so worried what people would think. Once I got to the point where I didn't care what people thought of me, oh man, game over. I don't care. And when I say I don't care, I had to work through it. It's easier. You don't come and start being like, hey, I don't care. I don't care. It's just, I had to get through it and accept it, that they weren't my success. It wasn't my success model. And it's hard now, because here's the thing, our kids, it's the kids from when I grew up, and I'm going to really just throw this in there. When I grew up, it was, there was no Facebook, there was no likes, the social acceptance was different than now. And unfortunately, we get frustrated, but we have to figure a way to communicate with the current generation. It's the way they are. They're a lot more sensitive. They're a lot more connected to certain things socially. Like when I grew up, I didn't watch the news. It was on a big TV. You had to turn with the dial. but now all the information is at the fingertips of these kids. And so we have to recognize that. And then we have to focus on what is going. So I had to focus once I figured my weakness, my recognition, and coming to realize where I was and come to that grip of, hey, this is who I am. If I'm a boss that has anger issues, go to anger management. If I'm a boss that wants to be in control, go to therapy, because you can't be a good leader if you don't deal with you first. And so that's one thing I'm grateful. I had some really good mentors. Shout out to Mr. Eschler. Thank you so much, Mr. Nixon. A lot of you guys, Mr. Cliff. I had some really good people in my life that helped me really dial this in early on. And I think there's no accidents. I think the reason I came across those paths is so that I can learn to do these things. As I got older, I can then work on them and help others work on them. So I'm grateful for it. And so taking those things out, once you learn where it is, then you have to focus on where your superpower is. My thing was, I was really quick to make change in my life. I knew I had to ask for help. So I refocused and I found my purpose. Then I reinforced it. And then that's number 3. I reinforced it by surrounding myself with the right people. Now I've done both. I've surrounded myself with the wrong people, and it doesn't end up well. And it is part of living. You're going to make that mistake. You're going to surround yourself sometimes with the wrong people, and they're going to tell you what you want to hear. And it's unfortunate, but it's hard. That's where you have to have the discernment, and you have to really look at what you got to do to recognize those things and understand where to go with them. So I had to learn surrounding myself meant having the right ones. And sometimes the right ones are the right ones for that moment. And like I mentioned, I've had paths with some great people. It doesn't mean I'm with them still, but it means that I learned a lot from them, and then I moved on and they moved on. And so it's one life, 30,000 days or plus you have in your life. You don't need to waste your time. At the end of the day, it's not about worrying about people liking you. It's about your journey, your purpose, and refocusing where you're heading. And sometimes people will join your mission and then get off and go on their way. We stress ourselves so much that it's not the end of the world if they leave the bus and find another bus. It's not. You want to treat them as they are there forever, and you have to lessen that and surround the right people that are going to tell you the truth. One of my mentors, Mr. Nixon, used to always say that they'll tell you have a booger in your nose and your fly's down. That's the kind of people you want around you that are going to be open and honest with you, and that are going to tell you those things that you need to hear. I know I get that from my lovely spouse. She loves me enough. She's going to tell me when I have a booger and my zipper is down. She's going to tell me when I'm off. She's going to call me out on the carpet. And that's what a good marriage looks like. Healthy conflict, but also love that is willing to tell you when you're out of line a little bit in a loving way. And so it's the same thing. If those people you lead and the people you lead with will not tell you those things, it's because they don't want to or they don't respect you. So you have to figure ways of gaining their confidence and their respect. And finding purpose is one. You need to know your purpose. You got to be a confident leader, regardless of why. Like I went in, every leader has weaknesses. Even Caesar, all the greats that were in there, they all had weaknesses. Napoleon Hill was very short, just kidding. Just all these leaders, if you define that currently lead, they all have weaknesses. And we can exploit them, or we can understand them, or we can define it. We can let it define us, if that makes sense. So you have to decide. This is what my show is about today, is what is it that you can do to understand who you are? Define that purpose, understand where you're going, and making sure that you have an outline of who you are and accepting it. So the three things we talked about is recognizing, where is my limitations, focusing where my strengths are, not thinking I have to conquer the whole world, really magnifying my strengths. But the most important is number three, is surrounding myself with the right people. And that's a constant move. You're always going to be looking for those right people. You're going to have the right people. And I'll leave you with this analogy, is like what Tyler Perry, I can't say it today. Tyler Perry said, it's like this. It's like a tree. There's many seasons. You'll have the leaves that give you shade and they'll hang around for a while. Then the weather comes and the wind blows and all those things. And all of a sudden the leaves fall and leave. And then you have branches. But when you put pressure on those branches, they snap. And then you have the roots that are solid and they are there. And there's only a few roots. But you want to keep them around because they hold you up. Because the leaves will come and go. They're seasonal. And this is how life, I love this theory. I love it. I think it's spot on. You're going to have people in your life that give you shade and that are there for a moment and that are going to help you. But eventually when time and effort and trials and stuff come, the wind blows, the leaves fall. But then you're going to have those people that are a little stronger than the leaves, but when you put pressure on the branches, it snaps. But what I tell you is to keep the roots around, because those are the people you want to surround yourself, like your wife's, your loved ones, your family, the good ones that are with you, that are the roots. Keep them close to you and nurture and feed them. That's what I would encourage you. This is out of the 4 C's, this is the connection. Connecting, making connections, and helping them understand by, really pushing that connection and understanding. So here's your assignment for the day or for the week, is go out and connect, but also, what is your purpose? What gets you out of bed? Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, is what makes you tick, what makes you hit the ground running and continue to push what you want. Really think about that. What makes you tick? What makes you push? And what makes you get up every day and go to work and grind? And that is purpose. But you got to really focus on getting over and recognizing your inabilities that force you from getting to your purpose. It could be body imaging, it could be struggling with whatever it is. What makes you not get to that finish line? Figure that out. Then refocus and get good people around you that are going to be open and honest with you, not those that will tell you what you want to hear. I've seen both sides. It doesn't end up well. All right, guys, my name is Mathew Cox. I'm your host, and you just listened to the Purpose Driven Person Show. If you have any questions, let us know. Go like us on Facebook, follow us, share this content, get on YouTube, share it as well, wherever you're at. Go to iTunes, give us a review, smash the star buttons, all of them, not 1, 6 of them, however many there are. And thank you for listening and watching. Until next time, continue to live on purpose, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.